Because what's life? It's sharing your gifts. That's the purpose of life. But I see it more as a game, even if it's serious, but just
Yeah.
in taking it in that way, you bring in the team, you bring a certain ambiance, like, let's
Mm-hmm.
go for it.
Key to being fulfilled, having those daily appreciations of what's actually awesome in your life, like those small
Yes.
little things and appreciating more and more and more and more.
Complaining and blaming, it
Mm.
doesn't help you ever.
Mm.
It
Yeah.
won't help you reach your goals in life. You will never get fulfilled out of complaining. It's pretty straightforward. It's not helpful. Very much against pampering people because I
Mm-hmm.
think you deny them the opportunity for them to grow. I think if you would look in nature and you would protect the little plant too much, it wouldn't get inner strength to face the environment. So I very much believe in powerful kindness.
So I contacted you because I wanted to know more about your dreams and challenges you face. And I see that you have achieved a lot.
Mhm.
I'm curious, what keeps you going? What are your dreams and desires? And see how your beliefs work and what keeps you driving. So let's start with that.
Okay. Um, First of all, you could say that I am a fulfilled and accomplished woman.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
A lot of my that fulfillment and you could say sense of accomplishment has been there, especially in the past 2 years, or in
Mm-hmm.
the past year even. And what I came to realize that is the power, of not only your beliefs but your inner light. When you take the time to focus, you could say day by day what brings you joy, day by day what makes you spark, and you focus very consciously on that, your outside reality or outside world starts to change. You have a moment, and let's say I didn't share that yet, but in 2016, until
Mm-hmm.
2016, I was running a construction business. And we almost went bankrupt. So I had to reinvent myself. And I got an opportunity to work with BMW. First, you could say like work a bit below my level. It was through an acquaintance. I got to do some administration. But since our finances were so bad, I had to take on the work. But I was living since quite some time with a dream of bringing a message of more kindness, compassion, and love into the world.
Mm-hmm.
That dream came up again after having survived the cancer because it's, you know, 21 years ago, I was diagnosed with a stage 4 cancer. And in surviving that, first in being faced with death, you think a lot about your legacy. I was 32 and I was very much thinking, uh, if I would die, would I be, like um, happy with my legacy? And the answer was no. The answer was absolutely no. I had, until that day, lived up to the expectations of others, expectations of society, and what I thought I had to be or do to be a good person or to be a so called success. But I made a promise to myself that if I would survive, I would change things and start building a positive legacy in a very conscious way. But you could say, yeah, how do you do that? What is a positive legacy? And I think, first of all, it starts in your daily interactions, in
Mm-hmm.
who you are as a human. Um, you can have big dreams, and I always had big dreams that is making a positive impact. And why kindness? Why kindness, compassion, love? Well, since childhood, I had been called too kind for this world. People would say, well, Barbara, you will never succeed in life, you're too kind. And I could never very well understand why people would say that. Like, what kind of world are we in? That if you're too kind, you cannot be, like a so-called success. So that had always, but then I had adopted the beliefs, you could say, of this world until I was faced with a cancer. Because that shakes your entire existence and shakes it makes you question every belief that society taught you. And although in the beginning I had a very specific idea of how I wanted to bring kindness, compassion, how I wanted to empower people through kindness and compassion, I definitely wanted to become a coach, build a coaching business. I started that while still working with BMW, but then I got opportunities within BMW. And then I realized at a profound level that in life, it doesn't matter what your job is. The only job you have is to bring love and light wherever you are. Mm. So whether it is as a cook, as a teacher, as a truck driver, as a coach, or as so, what I'm doing in my work with BMW, I'm doing a quality management, operational excellence, also working around working culture in a 90% male dominated environment. But it gave me the strength because it's a quite, it can be challenging environments, but just that challenging environment gave me the opportunity to build inner strength. And very much in the real world, with both feet in the real world. And I feel since I'm very spiritual, but I'm also very practical. So I think we need those people who are day in, day out in the real world, in business environments, but who model a way of being which is different than what we have maybe seen until now, which is warmer, more empathetic, empowering, still very, very much empowering, also very much on the responsibility. It's not that I am pampering people, and I'm very much against pampering people because I think you deny them the opportunity for them to grow. I think if you would look in nature and you would protect the little plant too much, it wouldn't get the inner strength to face, you could say, the environment. So I very much believe in powerful kindness. Powerful kindness for me is a conscious choice where you approach everyone with kindness, but at the same time, if you feel like there's a certain hurtful, toxic behavior, that you can stay in your light and you could say, with a compassionate heart, be firm in not let the toxicity pull you down, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, yes, my dreams is that I'm still making impact every day. I'm on several social media. I do it in my daily life, in my work with BMW. Since June last year, I'm president of Professional Women International, which is international women's organization in Brussels, where mainly we focus on empowering women and on accelerating gender-balanced leadership. Last November, I released my book, The Path of Powerful Kindness. So in the past year, you could say things that maybe I planted seeds 20 or 15 or 10 years, it's all coming together beautifully now. So I would, for people listening, I would say, be patient, plant those seeds every day, take those steps every day. And if you focus on your inner light and growing your inner light, your outer reality can only follow.
So, if I hear you correctly, then your dream, or more like a purpose than a dream, is what keeps you going, is being a role model by being firmly grounded in
Yes.
the day-to-day activities, and that includes all the different tasks you're doing, that working with BMW, that means social media presence, writing a book, and having that organization for women empowerment. So all these different roles you play, that's basically all to spread that message of powerful kindness.
Yes.
So that's your dream, basically.
Absolutely. Yes. You could say that. I'm, of course, not every day is the same, but if you, I'm living, you could say I'm living my dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that has little to do with your outside circumstance than
Mm-hmm.
more of the about the richness of your being.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? If
That makes
like
sense.
tomorrow, let's say tomorrow I lose we've almost lost everything in 2016, so we rebuilt up. We have every, like we're thriving financially, but I know how it is to lose everything.
Yeah.
um, Materially. I've
Mm-hmm.
lost my health, or like almost my health completely, almost all my business completely, and I know that that's okay. You can rebuild it,
Mm-hmm.
and the richest thing is inside you, the value you give. So if tomorrow BMW would say, we don't work with you anymore, or we have
Mm-hmm.
some catastrophe financially, I would be quite okay.
Mm-hmm.
I would say like, okay, this is interesting. So what's happening here? What is the lesson here? What
Mm-hmm.
can I bring to the table? Instead of it's I think it's that empowering attitude, like life doesn't happen to me, but I can decide how I respond to every situation in life.
Mm-hmm.
Always with
So
the, like the undercurrent is love, is love always.
yeah. So with that said, my next question is very, very difficult because I'm about to ask you what are your challenges, and you already answered, well, everything. Even if I lose everything, it's okay. So it's like, what kind of challenges you actually have in your life?
Um, what yes, what challenges me most, you could say,
Mm-hmm.
is by moments accepting that I'm a human,
Mm-hmm.
accepting that I'm not kind 24 hours a day,
Mm-hmm.
accepting that that's also okay. I'm human. It's not because I very much make a conscious choice to be a role model of
Mm-hmm.
powerful kindness that I can live up to that every moment of the day. I cannot. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I get triggered, I get
Mm-hmm.
stressed, but I can look at it with a smile afterwards, maybe not in the moment, but then say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I got carried away. That's okay. Let's move on. You know, so that's maybe for me, um, yeah, the challenge to accept, fully accept myself as I am in my most human form,
Mm-hmm.
and yet have moments, whether it's while meditating or praying, connecting with something that is much faster than Barbara, than the persona Barbara, and recharge my batteries there, like in that fast connection, be like, whoa, all is well. And it's okay that Barbara has um, the human moment and the triggers and I think that that's the full human experience. And being fully in life, I get more triggers than if I would be in an ashram in India, perhaps.
That's very beautiful, that theme that you say throughout the whole interview is that being firmly into the presence, into the real world with real people, and not secluding yourself from reality. And how do you see emotions? Like, because for me personally, I'm coming from a background where habitually I used to close my heart to protect myself, and just to not to feel things as harshly, because I'm reasonably sensitive, and it just sometimes it's very easy, and at some point just became a protection mechanism of habit. How do you see yourself being challenged to maybe not even a challenge, maybe it's for you to see it normal, close your heart. So what's your relationship with closing and opening your heart in that context?
I have learned I didn't have the most stable childhood, you could say. It's not the most stable environment. Being very sensitive, I would easily withdraw in my room and read a lot. I read a lot of books, and books were really my safe haven. As a child, you start closing your heart to not get hurt. That's something. And I know it's some kind of pattern that I would still have if I see that people would try to, but always with compassion. People who would try to dominate you, who have certain hurtful behavior, I know they are hurt themselves. I know that. But I would have like this glass, like this glass mentally, it's just glass between me and a person, and maybe that's closing the heart. I have moved beyond that with certain people, with certain family members, to have the going deep into forgiveness, to have that circle round and open my heart again, but from a very detached position, not expecting the other person to behave in a certain way. It's not because you forgave someone in your heart that that person is changing her or his behavior. They stay who they are. But you have a certain discernment to keep distance from certain people because it's just the way they operate in life is not only self-destructive, but also destructive for others. And if it's, especially with people who you have like long emotional connections, sometimes it's better to just keep that distance. But always from a compassionate place. And it's possible. It's possible, and it has a lot to do with forgiveness. Opening your heart again is with deep forgiveness and knowing that an open heart is a gift to yourself.
I'm curious, like if you had to put a number to it, how much do you have your heart open on a day-to-day basis, and how often you tend to close it, either consciously or subconsciously?
I don't close it so often. I do withdraw myself from the world, you could say, like in evenings or mornings, but that's to recharge myself, and it's not a moment that I close my heart. Because that could be for myself like a mix-up. If I have like I feel the need to be alone, it's not that I want to close my heart. It's just that I'm an introvert and I need those alone moments to process and to recharge. So really closing my heart, it's rare. It's rare that I close my heart. it's really rare. Even if things, what I, the what I have learned so much is to not take things personally. So when people say things or when people do things, to not, it's just their behavior, it's how they express themselves, it's how they show up in the world. Of course, I can express my boundaries, but when they say something, it's up to me to think it's hurtful or not. Because sometimes one person could say a sentence to you, another person that exact same sentence, and it would feel hurtful from one person and it would not feel hurtful from another person. So it's not the sentence in itself that's hurtful, it's your idea about it. So I'm pretty much with an open heart in the world.
I'm thinking, what's the role for you? So you're fulfilled, you living your purpose. Where do goals come into your life? Like, do you believe in goals, and how does that work for you?
I believed for a very, very long time in goals. And I had many goals and I achieved many goals. I have that very much achiever side in me. Um, and since a year or two, I have a lot less goals. That's very strange. And if you could say what's the main goal, it's just joy. Follow joy and feel like I'm opening and blossoming. And being guided, you could say less, it's less my conscious mind who decides like this is the goal.
Yeah.
It's more like seeing what shows up in life and follow that path. So even with the women's organization, I was asked to join 3 years ago and see me 3 years later being president. So it was not something that I was very, like it was not even on my goals list. Contributing was on my goals list. And I have felt that in setting goals, we have to be very aware where the goal comes from. Is that goal from a wounded place where you want to make $1 million a year because you want to show your dad or mom that you're worthy? That's a goal that stems from a wounded place. Is I think is your goal you want, let's say you want that Mercedes or that BMW, does that stem from just cultural belief, that goal? So I think when people set goals and I still do some personal mentoring and coaching of people, that is something that I would very much investigate. If people set goals, first look like, okay, where did that come from? Is that something that you would have dreamt as a child? I don't think a child dreams at 6 years old from a certain car or a certain amount of money. And if you can reconnect with that child, with the pure gifts that you have, because what's life? It's sharing your gifts. No, that's the purpose of life. And your gift is maybe, I don't know, painting. Maybe you're an artist. If that's your gift, but society told you to become an accountant and make money like that, well, you're in your misalignment, you might still set a goal to make more as an accountant. I would go back and go to, okay, is that what you really, really want? And it's not when I'm working with people that I would say just quit your job and start painting. No. If I see it in my life, I very much believe in an evolution, and I'm very much into reality. I know we need bread on the table. Most people, they have families, they have kids. We been married for more than 25 years. We have 3 young adult kids, 2 are still in college. So bills have to be paid. Bills have to be paid. That's the reality we live in. But, if the spark is there, reignite it bit by bit and see what happens.
Mm.
And maybe it can start with evening classes. And maybe you can, you know, like, and maybe you can have even an exposition a weekend as a, but then you see what starts happening. Um, but at least there's something within you which is getting alive again. So many people go through life
Mm.
just, just day by day, not knowing too well why they do what they do. They just do it
Mm.
and follow your gifts and follow your joy. That would
Mm.
be that's my main goal.
So I see this working very well in a personal life when you kind of, I set up my personal goals and I make sure where they
Yes,
come from, and I share the
yeah,
gifts. How does this work in your business
in
and
business.
when you work in a
Yeah,
business setting? Because there you have
yeah. Well,
male-dominated
yes,
culture
we
and
have real objectives,
yeah,
and I love it. It's part of my temperament and part of my personality. We yearly, like we have our KPIs, we have our objectives. My work with BMW, and I'm very dedicated and passionate to reach those objectives
mm-hmm.
in an atmosphere where we, and of course, that would be in an ideal world that every team member in a team has his perfect role and we work together
Yeah,
towards reaching our targets.
yeah,
We reach our targets, but sometimes we have hurdles and sometimes people are miscasted and sometimes we have to like let go of people and hire new people. That's all part of it.
mm-hmm.
But it's always with respect. It's always but I love it. I'm like if we know that already November, December, we know our objectives for the next year and there's just a part of me. But I see it more as a game,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's serious, but
Yeah,
just in taking it in that way, you bring in the team, you bring a certain ambiance, like let's
mm-hmm.
go for it. Or like if you would have like a team and
Yeah,
you bring that joyful atmosphere, an openness, an honesty. People tend to say that I'm very direct. I'm very direct.
mm-hmm.
So if you take things personally, you might say, Tom, you might say, yeah, Barbara, you're not always so kind. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm a lot about cutting through excuses. If I see people coming up with excuses, it's like a red flag for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really very direct in cutting through it,
Yeah,
especially to help that person. If you're, cutting the crap
mm-hmm.
and maybe it's because I've been working, not that I want to stereotype, but a lot with men and I love direct coming. I love that
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah,
no nonsense, you could say.
mm-hmm.
No fluffing around, just okay. If it's great, it's great. If it's not good, it's not good. What can we
Mm-hmm.
do about it? No big deal. Let's improve. Let's strive for excellence. Let's learn from it. And having that attitude, but
Mm-hmm.
very much that passion to, like to move forward, to build things, to
Mm-hmm.
grow things, to enjoy it. And not every day is the same. And sometimes we have very energy draining days. And then we have
Mm-hmm.
to think, okay, how can I do this different next time? How can we improve? Is it processes? Is it people? Is it
Mm-hmm.
communication?
Yeah.
And I think that makes it just very interesting. Every day is
Mm-hmm.
interesting because you work with people, you
Mm-hmm.
have your challenges, you have your objectives and targets to get. Um, And of course, I think that's the main thing. If you work with a partner, for me, the group of dealerships that I work with, I know, I work with the board of directors very closely, that there's integrity. For me, it would
Mm-hmm.
be very hard to work with people that I don't feel the integrity. I probably would not be able to work long with people that I feel they're
Mm-hmm.
out of integrity, but we have the same goal, that striving for excellence, that creating a beautiful environment for people to work in, sell beautiful cars, which are very much about sustainability, about thinking about, environment, impact on environment, have all that integrated in the story.
I see a common theme. In both cases, it's more about how you feel in the journey. Like, because even though you have those goals and KPIs and all these things in a work life, you still focus on having passion towards the work and enjoying the journey. And then, of course, I would say it's a different game for you. It almost feels like it's a different game for you because you approach the personal life like when it comes to my like fulfilling my personal desires, like okay, you just follow your heart and all these things. You play by your own goals. But when you go and play in a business setting, you play by the team's rules basically. It's like and it's a different game.
Mm-hmm.
So is it that's how I see it?
Yes. Yes. It's that. It's and you choose your game. So I choose to work with BMW. I choose, and it's a conscious choice. It was not 8 years ago because then I really needed like, but I could not have stayed. I think sometimes I understand people who temporarily are in a job that they don't like because they need the finances. I understand that's real life. However, you have the power within you to make changes, not from one day to another. But if you really want, to find something which is in full alignment with you, you can take the steps. You can absolutely take the steps, and you don't need $100,000. You don't need. You just look out for opportunities. You take opportunities. I think that's I would never, well, I'm not a very judgmental person, but I would never ever judge people who for finances have to do temporary things which are which doesn't make their heart sing. And that's okay. But then focus on, like go do your day job and focus in the evening. What is it that makes my heart sing? What's the longer vision here? And have that and work on that.
What I hear is whatever your circumstance, always keep an eye out for what makes your heart sing. I think I don't remember if it was the first part of the conversation or the second part because we had it switched. You said that key to being fulfilled, how it started for you is having those daily appreciations of what's actually awesome in your life, like those small little things and appreciating more and more and more and more. And this is basically the same thing, is making sure that there's bit by bit every day, at least something that makes your heart sing.
Yes. And especially when you have gone through things, I'm already, like grateful that I breathe in the morning, that I wake up, because doctors told me that probably like I have already 21 bonus years, so why wouldn't I be grateful? It could have ended for me like 21 years ago, so I'm still here. So yes, I'm grateful. I'm grateful in the morning to wake up. That's always my first thank you. Like I wake up. And if you could say for me, what is a real challenge for me, that's people who are not so grateful, who do not have a grateful attitude towards life. That's not always easy for me. Who complain about small things. Then I have to, like stay away. I know, just leave it and out of their complain and blame game. Because I know that's a choice too. If you choose to complain, you choose. That's how you choose to go through the journey of life. It's through complaining and blaming. It doesn't help you ever. It won't make yourself happy, the other people. It won't help you grow in life. It won't help you reach your goals in life. you will never get fulfilled out of complaining. So I think it's pretty straightforward. It's not helpful.
Mm. And how do you deal with
And
that?
gratitude is.
So how do you deal with those situations when you said that people are ungrateful and they complain? So what's your strategy?
I would just say I turn the conversation around. People are really I would say, what a beautiful day. I'm so happy, this or that. And if they would start, I would say, well, we're not in a war zone. We have a roof over our head. We're so blessed, so incredibly blessed. And if you radiate a kind of gratitude and positivity, which is very powerful, people tend to search other company to complain. They don't search my company to do that. They know, and even if I have, like family members and they would call me and start, I would say, look, if we don't turn this conversation around, I will put the phone down and maybe you can call me back in 5 minutes with another. I have learned to do that. My time's too valuable to spend it in some kind of, sometimes, especially where we live in some self-created misery stories.
Okay. So thank you so much. That would be all I wanted to ask you today. Is there anything else you want to add?
Okay. No, I don't want anything to add. Just want to say, be very much aware that you are loved, you are supported. And if we can reside in that feeling, like really much some kind of self-kindness, self-love, that can already be very, like life-changing.
Awesome. That's very powerful. And yeah, thank you so much, Barbara, for joining me. Thank you.
It was a pleasure. We'll keep in touch. Okay.
Keep in touch. Bye-bye.
Because for a long time, doctors predicted that I would die by the end of the year, and that I had metastasis in my lymph nodes, and I was very, because there's always that part: do we heal ourselves? How do we get healed? Are we getting healed by the doctors? Some people who are very much in the alternative medicine or spiritual realm would say, oh, don't take chemo, there's an alternative. But I decided to go the full, you could say, the full treatment in our Western medicine. But at the same time, I had within me deep belief that I would survive. But subconsciously, being raised in our subconscious, that's very stubborn, that we have to go to a hospital or a doctor to get healed. And I know that subconscious belief is in me too. So I wouldn't take the risk and say, oh, I can heal myself. I know the power of the body in healing itself. I know that. And I felt that. But anyway, I did the chemo, I did the surgeries, just to, how would you say? Because I was conscious that that belief might be lingering somewhere within me.
Yeah.
From like, just because it's ingrained so much in our culture, especially here, like Belgium, Western Europe, very much, although it is shifting, but that we talk about more than 20 years ago. People were like, the man in the white coat, well, that's the one who makes you like, who makes you healthy again, which is changing a lot these past years. Beliefs are changing a lot, that and sometimes I even have, like, you could say, that kind of vision that there will be a day that maybe in 50 or in 100 years, people will look back at those people with the white coats as people who poisoned us one day. And that maybe we are oblivious about the healing power of our body. I hope this makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I really appreciate you sharing because it, first of all, I appreciate the level of consciousness you have of your beliefs and awareness of that. And second, it is in complete alignment of what I believe in how universe works. It's like, it's perfect harmony. Like, yes, I can heal myself purely, but I also have to respect existing beliefs and the power it takes to write those beliefs. So sometimes it is just easier to go along with existing beliefs and not to change them. So I really appreciate that. Yeah.
So I very much believe in powerful kindness. And powerful kindness for me is a conscious choice where you approach everyone with kindness. But at the same time, if you feel like there's a certain hurtful, toxic behavior, that you can stay in your light and with a compassionate heart, be firm in not let the toxicity pull you down. Be patient, plant those seeds every day, take those steps every day. And if you focus on your inner light and grow in your inner light, your outer reality can only follow. You could say, I'm living my dream. And I think that has little to do with your outside circumstance than more of the about the richness of your being. The challenge to accept, fully accept myself as I am in my most human form. It's with deep forgiveness and knowing that an open heart is a gift to yourself. Because sometimes one person could say a sentence to you, another person that exact same sentence, and it would feel hurtful from one person and it would not feel hurtful from another person. So it's not the sentence in itself that's hurtful, it's your idea about it.
What I hear is, whatever your circumstance, always keep an eye out for what makes your heart sing.
Follow your gifts and follow your joy. That would be, that's my main goal.
Harmony, like, yes, I can heal myself purely, but I also have to respect existing beliefs and the power it takes to write those beliefs. So sometimes it is just easier to go along with existing beliefs and not to change them. So I really appreciate that. Yeah.
And I feel, since I'm very spiritual, but I'm also very practical. So I think we need those people who are day in, day out in the real world, in business environments, but who model a way of being, which is different than what we have maybe seen until now.